Hey, good evening, everybody. It looks like Dallas is going to get a road win to start this series. It's a heck of a game, Rhino. 108, 104. I mean, the and the Timberwolves going back and forth in the fourth. I'm not crazy about Karl Anthony Towns with all the threes in the last 2 minutes, uh,
Sure.
but I got to tell you, it's a hell of a game.
Hey, Dallas showed up. Minnesota, they showed up too on their home floor. I think we're in for a treat of a series, Grant. The
Yeah.
margin here between winning and losing was very small. And the number that jumps out to me, Dallas shot like 24, 25% from beyond the arc tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. When you look
Wow.
at the number, yeah, it's very, the numbers here are very odd. 6 of 25 for the Dallas Mavericks from three. That's 24%. Meanwhile, Minnesota, 18 of 49. But, listen, the Mavs did what they had to do. Give them a lot of credit. And it's, this going to be a hell of a series, Rhino. It's going to be a hell of a series.
Yeah, I think we are in for a treat. The two stars for Dallas showed up, Grant, and both teams' defense was not too bad tonight. And you know what seemed to be a little bit of a difference? Anthony Edwards had to chase Kyrie around a decent amount, and that may have helped them a little bit offensively, the Mavericks.
Yeah, Mike Conley, at the end missing all those free throws. But,
Yeah.
oh, man. If you're Minnesota, you kind of look at this and go, wow, game one, home court, and it's already over. It's already over. It kind of reminds me of what happened with the Kings in 2002
Mm.
when they worked so hard to get home court advantage against the Lakers and they lost game one. And I thought the series was over after game one. I really did. And I was wrong because the Kings should have won that series.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget that feeling. You work all season to get home court, and then it's gone in the first game of the Western Conference Finals.
It's a great point, but if it doesn't matter to any team in the playoffs, it might be the Timberwolves because
Yep.
they won 3 on the road against Denver. You got to think their confidence is sky high, whether they're at home or playing in Dallas.
Yeah. Well, heck of a game. Heck of a game. And I give the Mavericks credit. The Mavericks did not crumble, at the end of the game.
No?
Keep that in mind, right? So, but Mike Conley made the first free throw, right? Missed the second, missed the third. At that point, you have to miss the third intentionally. It doesn't matter. The game was over. But give Dallas credit. They win game one. Hockey, not a good night for my Rangers. They didn't score. They get blanked 3-0. There is no home ice in hockey. So they're playing against a really good team that was in the Stanley Cup Finals a year ago that lost to Vegas in 5 in Florida. But there is no home ice in hockey. It doesn't mean anything. And I'm not so sure that home court's going to mean a lot in this Western Conference Final Series. I'm not so sure how much it's really going to mean.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it really means much. I do think it means something in the other series, Boston and Indiana, depending on what Indiana is able to do, bouncing back here in a couple days. But going back to hockey, Grant, what is that about hockey? Because to me, I would think there would be an advantage. The crowd gets pretty damn loud when you're scoring goals, hitting guys.
Yeah, the crowd really doesn't factor into it at all because they're so removed from the ice because of the barriers with the glass and everything. The noise doesn't affect hockey players. The only advantage that you have, and there's only one advantage from being at home in hockey, is you're able to make the last shift on a face-off. So you get you can put the last line out there based on what the other team does. You get the last, so you can match up the lines the way you want. That's really the only advantage. But other than that, it comes down to goaltending in hockey. And Bobrovsky of Florida was the best goalie on the ice tonight. So much so the Rangers didn't even score. But that's other than the last shift change, there is no advantage at all being at home.
Very interesting. You know that world much better than I do, my friend. Same
Yeah,
rules apply in lacrosse?
no, lacrosse. You don't have your changes are normally made on the fly as opposed to a stoppage. But no. Mm-mm.
What about home field in lacrosse?
No,
What about home field? Oh my
nothing.
gosh.
Yeah.
Napes, you got to play sport. Napes, you got
The
to
only
play
difference,
sports.
the only difference that it made when I played was what type of field were you on? Whether it was carpet, artificial turf, or regular grass. I like playing on regular grass because the ball would bounce differently. And I played attack, which is offense, and you could utilize the ground more on your shots. And the ball would not take a true bounce, would make it more difficult for the goalie because even when I shot the ball off the ground on a bounce, I wasn't exactly sure how the ball was going to bounce. On carpet or artificial turf, I always knew how the ball was going to bounce, and so did the goalie. Now, that doesn't mean they could stop it, but I always like playing on natural turf as opposed to artificial turf from an offensive perspective, just because of the way the ball bounced differently on natural grass.
Interesting. I think you're being generous by saying carpet and artificial turf. That was concrete. Basically.
You know what? It was. And so what happened was the ball took a uniform bounce when you shot the ball off the ground, whether it was overhand or sidearm. The ball didn't lose any velocity when it hit the ground, but it took a true bounce. It doesn't take a true bounce on natural grass.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Imagine that's why they play golf on true grass.
Well, if they played golf on carpet or on artificial turf, first of all, the drives would go 600 yards.
Gosh.
Because you wouldn't be able to stop the ball.
No.
But there would be most of the guys would shoot in the 50s. You'd see guys shooting 55s.
You could probably take putter off the tee box on some holes. Just run it straight up there.
Yeah. Anything in this game tonight that was peculiar to you, other than the fact, we talked about the 3-point shooting percentages for the Mavericks, and yet they still won the game. Is that the one thing that sticks out to you?
Yeah, that's what concerns me if I'm Minnesota, because Dallas is usually really good beyond the arc, and the fact that they were able to come in, yank one, and do it a different way, it kind of gives them that confidence to put it in their back pocket. Hey, we got this experience. We can do it if our 3-ball ain't falling.
Irving with 30, Luka with 33. So they combined for 63 points. Now they took, a lot of shots, but not the shooting percentages were good for Kyrie. I mean, again, 12 of 23, that's excellent. They were good. They were really, really good. I didn't like all the threes, as I said, by Towns. He was 2 of 9 from 3. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Now you talk about the peculiar stats a little bit more. The rebounding, Grant. The fact that Dallas out-rebounded Minnesota, that was shocking as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have any thoughts on the game, we can do so. Also, if you're looking at this, Anthony Edwards, only 6 of 16. He's going to have to do better than that if the Timberwolves are going to win this series.
He will. First time there, first time in the dance. You're jazzed up. You got the home crowd going. And again, I think him playing defense on Kyrie, he had to work a little bit harder than he did against Jamal Murray because Jamal was a little bit hindered towards the end of that last series.
All right. If you want to give us a shout, you can do so. All right. People giving me a hard time about I can't pick a winner from this game. Why not? You can. If I wanted to, I could, but I'm not picking a winner of the series based on one game. But I could if I wanted to. Well, why couldn't I? All right. Here is the link for the show. All right. Very easy. Give us a call. We're happy to have you. You can also hit the QR code in the corner of the screen as we're with you here right after the game. Glad that you're with us. Hope that you are having a really good day and evening. And we got a really close game to talk about coming right down to the wire. I love the start times of these games as it pertains to our 8 o'clock show. It's perfect.
It rolls right into there, right in. Good point there. And we want to get your calls. It doesn't have to be about the game, Grant. We can talk about pretty much anything. I mean, you guys know the rules. You guys are responsible. But
I didn't think we were going to be talking about the playing surface and the rules of hockey and lacrosse and everything on the show. So, you never know, right? You never
know what might come up. In fact, we'll let our man Condog kick
What's
off
up, Condog?
the show. How you doing, bud?
Doing good. Yeah, crazy game though. Once when Lucas started that 7 point run by himself, there, Mavericks never looked back.
Yeah, he did. He was a 7-0 or 8-0 run. I think it was 8-0 if I'm not mistaken, but whatever it was, yeah, it was is at the right time too, obviously, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, he's a special player, man. He's one of those generational picks, that was just hyped for a good amount of time before going to the NBA draft. You don't get too many of those guys, and Dallas is lucky to have him.
Well, not only that, they were down one on a critical possession, a possession where Minnesota had seized the momentum. And what happened was Luka isolated on McDaniels and hit a tough shot from the wing, fading away. And the Mavs never trailed after that. That was the critical possession of the game for the Mavs.
Yeah, and then obviously, I know Minnesota fans are going to be mad about that basket interference on the Anthony Towns putback.
That was close.
Yeah,
That was close.
Yeah, that was a coin flip call. That's going to be in that 2 minute report probably. We'll find out on that one. I know Ryan was talking about 2 minute reports earlier today.
The stupidest thing ever in the NBA, those damn 2-minute reports. It's ridiculous. No, it really is. I don't know how you feel about it, Ryan, but I just think they're awful. They're just terrible. They because they serve no purpose.
To me, it's better than nothing. But when you get 2-minute reports out, when you've got 6 or 7 games, and usually they're out by maybe 12 Pacific, and you only had one game last night, and you wait till the news cycle is almost done to release that today. That rubbed me the wrong way. It's a little bit political.
I don't like them. I mean, you might as well have a 48-minute report. I don't like the 2-minute reports. It's not done in any other sport. I think it's absurd. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I kind of, there's
What
a
purpose
lot.
does it, Condog, what purpose does it serve? What does it do?
I guess if they just want to look like, oh, look, we're noticing our errors and stuff, they're trying to stay face, but really it doesn't
Well,
change.
why doesn't
Okay.
then you know what? Then here's something else they do. Why don't we put out a last 2-minute report on all the mistakes that the players and coaches made in the final 2 minutes? How many times they traveled? How many times they threw out of the ball out of bounds? Why don't we put Tyrese Halliburton's final 2 minutes on of regulation in game one, where he turned the ball over twice? And, why don't we talk about all of the mistakes that the coaches made where they didn't call a timeout and advance the ball? Why don't we do all of that? I mean, why are we it's just, again,
I guess
we have to acknowledge that there is no perfection from players or officials in our sports. And Adam Silver comes in and wants to be this big transparent commissioner. What he's doing is he's hurting the credibility of his officials. That's the only thing he's accomplishing here.
The only thing I would say is that that we kind of have a little 2 minute report, when the end of game interviews where the press is asking, oh, what went wrong here? Or, how'd you do this play or whatever? The coaches and the stars usually have to answer to the media and stuff.
To me, the 2-minute report is the big problem. Why do you have a 2-minute report if you have instant replay? Isn't instant replay the reason to not have mistakes? And I think that's one of the issues the NBA needs to address.
But you couldn't use instant replay on something that's not called in the middle of the play where there's no stoppage. So let's say you have a minute left to go in the fourth quarter and you go 40 seconds without a whistle. Okay. Right. And in the first 5 seconds of that 40-second sequence, there was a call that was not made that should have been made. What are you going to do? You're going to go back and put all the time back on the clock and start the game from there? You can't do that.
It's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. It's not like football where each play there's a stop. This is it's not as constantly moving as soccer, but it's really close to that sometimes.
I want to get to this question without giving you a hard time. You can give me a hard time. I don't mind that. How can you judge which team was better tonight?
The winner.
But both teams were. I think if you look at the totality of the game, you would say it was a toss-up game and an evenly played game, regardless of what the stats look like. Ryan pointed out rebounding. I talked about three-point shooting. But when you look at the totality of the game, without even let's say you're not a fan of either team, okay, which I'm not. To me, it looked like two teams that were very evenly matched, just from the eyeball test.
Yeah, they look about the same. But the other team in Dallas just has a little more experience there with Jason Kidd's just been in the league a long time, and Kyrie, he's been to a good amount of finals, and he's had a lot more playoff experience than I think almost all the Timberwolves roster.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yep, that's true.
So I think that was just the difference in this game. Dallas is just able to ride that the wave and coast. Well, not really coast, but hard fight a victory right there. And
the one thing we know about Minnesota, they can win on the road. I mean, we saw what they did in the last series. They won. They won 3 games on the road against the Nuggets, which, the Nuggets' home-courted record, they barely lost all year at home, and Minnesota won 3 times there. So keep that in mind.
I think Anthony Edwards thrives in that environment. I think he actually loves playing on the road. He's that type of guy. Kobe would be one of those guys, that are like, I don't care if I'm on the road or not. I'm just going to go out there and win.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate the call.
Later.
Appreciate it, Condog.
Ryan, do you agree with me that looked like 2 evenly matched teams on the floor tonight?
100%. Yeah. Spot on. I think if the only conclusion that I think we can come from tonight is I would feel comfortable saying I think this series could go 7. I mean, if they play like that, I mean, not on even rest per se, but I guess they kind of were. Dallas had a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's going to swing though. And how much of Jason Kidd plays into this? Because I'm glad Condog brought that up because he's not getting enough run for what he's doing behind the bench.
I don't know. I don't buy into that much. I mean, I really don't. I mean, do I give him a slight edge? I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not discounting him as a head coach. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. He almost got fired last year. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a good point. Jay, welcome in to
What's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Hey, Jay, how are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm going for the Wolves. I know I'm a Kings fan, but, I think it's exciting watching, someone young and upcoming play. And tonight, I do agree that they did look more evenly matched, but I will say throughout the series, they won't look that way. And I think Kyrie Irving pointed out himself, one of the biggest factors of this game today was the fact that they are more rested than the Timberwolves are. And I think that showed clearly, as you stated earlier, Ryno, Edwards looked like he had to overexert himself on the defensive end, which he did. I mean, you're guarding probably the greatest point guard to ever dribble a basketball as far as ball handling goes.
Yep.
Kyrie Irving.
I you know what? You make a great point, and I think it also factored into last night's game with the Pacers. I think that was a huge factor in the Pacers losing that game, and I'm with you. Yes. I think that's a great observation on your part.
And, I know it's only one day of rest in between each one of these Western and Eastern Conference finals, but I do think that loss will spark something in, Minnesota. Whether they win, I don't know if they'll win or lose next game. I think it's up in the air. I think if you asked me before tonight, they were favored to win. They lost. And seeing tonight, knowing that they're only going to have one day of rest, I still think it could go either way this time. But I think when they go to Dallas, I think it's going to change, especially if they're down 0-2. I think something's going to flip, and you're going to see some real Wolves, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Dallas, one thing they've done this postseason is they've hung around. They just find a knack to hang around. If there's one thing we've talked about during the Kings season, but even more now in the postseason, if you're the road team and you get a lead, especially in the second half, you can't look back. You can't give it up. And Dallas did that at the end tonight.
Yeah, that run was significant. It was 7-8 points, Luka by himself, and that's a luxury to have a player like Luka. And it's unfortunate the Kings picked Marvin Bagley over Luka the year Luka was drafted, because we could be in the Western Conference Finals now, maybe. But
same with Phoenix and same with Atlanta.
They skipped him too?
Yeah, Phoenix took they took the big man. He's not even on the team anymore.
Ayton.
Yeah. And Atlanta, instead of taking him, made a trade to get Trae Young.
Yeah.
And Dallas ended up at the 5th pick. So not only did Sacramento make the mistake, So did the first pick in the draft, DeAndre Ayton. And
that was terrible.
And the Atlanta Hawks. Listen, if that draft were held all over again, you think Luka Dončić would go any place other than one to Phoenix?
Yeah. No, yeah. Anyway, man,
I mean,
it's
come on,
yeah.
I mean, that's just the
same.
Yeah. And Memphis took Jaren Jackson Jr., but again, the trade was already made between Atlanta and Dallas.
But guys, don't you figure into this? Luka seemed like one of those guys. It's not like you bring him in and he fits in with the pieces you have. When you're drafting Luka, the thought was you're building your team around Luka.
Yeah, that's what he is. I mean, you have Kyrie Irving, and you hear about the trade. I think it was this year, right? That it happened last year. Okay. Well, regardless, I mean, how is it going to fit? You have two ball dominant players that can facilitate offense, and for some reason they're making it work. Clearly they made it this far, so that's scary when you think about it like that. And I noticed, you're just talking about Jason Kidd and his coaching strategy. I kind of agree with Ryno. I was it you, Ryno, that said he wasn't kind of like, the best, like, or I think it was you, Grant, where you're like, not to discredit him as a coach.
Right.
I'm not discrediting him as a coach, but
I
I
agree
don't
with you, Grant. I don't think it was like a big strategy or a big game plan from like Jason Kidd, like he's some type of, whatever. I think what it was when you do rest Luka or you do rest Kyrie, he's leaving. He's not resting him at the same time, which sounds so simple, but it's so critical in these games, and it shows. Versus when you're Minnesota and you take out Anthony Edwards, the statistics and the odds change drastically. So you can only rest him for so long, especially after a 7-game series with last year's champion. So
which one of you's got the excited dog?
Exactly.
No, who's got the dog barking? Is it your dog or Ryan's? You got to control your dog, man. What's the deal with your dog barking like that?
Yeah, they have a dog.
Hey, do the Gold Country read, Grant. That dog will scatter.
Yeah, he's going crazy in the backyard. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's funny.
No worries.
Jay, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
That's funny. The Gold Country
stuff.
read. I'll tell you, a lot of people, rip the Kings, and I understand that they made a blunder there. But you just made a point. The Kings did not feel, and Vladdy did not feel that Luka and Fox could play together. And you know what? I don't think they could play together either. That's why the Kings traded Tyrese Halliburton, because they didn't feel. Well, they didn't not only feel, they saw that Fox and Halliburton couldn't play together. So if Fox and Halliburton can't play together, Fox and Luka couldn't play together. So if you drafted Luka, then you would have to trade Fox, which I'm okay doing. But the point is, that was the process. That was the mindset. Well, Luka's not going to be able to play with Fox. We love Fox. We think he's going to be a big time star, and he's been an all-star, but he's not a Luka star. And in hindsight, it was the wrong move. But there's no way Luka and Fox would have been able to play together. I mean, just the same reason why we saw Halliburton and Fox going to play together.
Exactly right, Grant. And I think part of what Jay was saying with Kyrie working out, Kyrie's changed a little bit. He's slowed down as he's gotten older. He's mellowed out. And I think that wiseness has allowed him to take that step back, and it works together.
And listen, Luka is not an easy player to play with. I've talked to people in the Dallas Mavericks organization. There are a lot of players that have not wanted to be there and have tried to be there, and it didn't work. Kristaps Porzingis, okay? Jalen Brunson, okay? They're playing with Luka is not easy. He is, and I don't care how many assists he has. That's not the point. The point is he is a ball-dominant player, and it takes a certain mindset, okay, to take a back seat and play where you don't have the ball very often. It's not for everyone. Okay. And a lot of fans don't understand that. And again, I understand it because I've been in the league for a long time. And I also have a lot of friends in Dallas, and I've talked to them about this. He's not an easy guy to play with.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Grant. And look at what happened with the Kings this year. And I don't want to compare situations, but when guys don't touch the ball, sometimes that does not work out in your favor. But Dallas, Luka, they're finding a way to work it, and they've put the pieces around him, and look where they're at.
Yep. They're up 1-love. Hey, before we get to Baki, I want to tell you about our good friends at New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. For all of your plumbing needs and repairs, just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you, and they're available around the clock 24/7. That's sackserviceplumbing.com.
Yes, indeed. They were here for me. I called them late at night. They were out at our house the next morning. They are literally the best. So, MC, we appreciate the love. Hit the thumbs up button, please. We would really appreciate it. And Rich, yes, I remember you called it. You said that Dallas would win the championship. I will honor that, my friend. Should it happen, still don't think it will. But anyways, we get to Baki. Welcome in tonight.
Yo, guys. Good evening, USA, and
Hello. Good evening.
good morning.
Good morning.
To all the others. Before we hitting on Luka, may I say something about those 2 minutes and those refereeing stuff you mentioned? Because I'm totally agree with you, Grant. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, maybe it's not ridiculous, but they're trying to do something. I mean, they feel like they should be more transparent to the crowd, to the viewers on the TV. So what I saw tonight in the game when that call was made about Cylinder, they didn't have the camera spotted right in the exact position to call that shot. I mean, they missed. I don't know if they have some extra cameras to call the that one. I don't know if you know that. Maybe Secaucus or something like that.
I've been in the Secaucus replay center, and it's pretty phenomenal. As a matter of fact, one year they made us sit down and actually be the referee on a video that was up on the screen so we could look at how they do it. That's not an issue back in Secaucus. They have angles that you're not even worried about, and mechanisms and ways to look at replays that you don't see on the screen.
I'm just curious if they have more cameras that they're not allowing for us to see in the live coverage. I don't know if they have some extra, because from those angles we see on the live coverage, we couldn't ever say it was a fault or not. I mean, even the Van Gundy said it's very, very difficult to say. I mean, like 50-50.
Yeah, but again, what's difficult to see on TNT may not be difficult to see back in Secaucus. They have all kinds of mechanisms to zoom in. They have an angle or two that the TV does not have. They have the utilization of the in-house cameras. They've got all kinds of stuff that maybe TNT does not have. And even with that said, there are times when Van Gundy would be right. It wasn't easy to tell. And if it's not easy to tell and they don't have 100% certainty, they don't reverse the call. Same thing in baseball. I have a lot of baseball friends that are umpires, and I've talked to them about it. I've actually called one up, and I said, how is that not reversed? And he said, because we didn't have a 100% conclusive replay. It looked like it from your point of view, but then when we looked at another angle, we weren't sure. And in order to reverse a call, we have to have 100% certainty. We can't have 99%. It's got to be 100%. I get it.
I see it. You are in the NBA longer than any of us, and I see it myself already 30 years maybe. But you know by yourself, and you, Ryno, as well, that long time before, you didn't have that much pressure on referees and players shouting and I don't know, saying to the referees every call.
It's awful.
It's really awful.
And Luka's the worst in the league.
Yes, he's definitely the worst. I don't know why he's doing it. I talked to Ryno in the show before. Luka never did that before in Europe. Never, ever. So I don't know what
is it, because it's not allowed in Europe?
No, it's the same. I mean, referee is gonna give you a tech for the same reason, but Simply,
But are they going to give you a technical quicker in Europe than they do in the NBA? Like, in
I
other
think
words, do the refs in Europe go,
I
hey, you know
think
what?
it's the
We're
same.
not
I
dealing with
think
your
it's.
crap.
I mean, no. I think maybe in Europe, if you have some trash talk with the refs, in Europe they will maybe wait a second, two more. Okay, no second or two, but maybe 5 seconds more. In the NBA, they're strictly they're gonna give you a T right the moment you say something bad. But that's the only difference. But Luka was not even close to doing the stuff he's doing right now. I mean, you
Well,
can
the
you
league
can
allows him to do it. The league allows him to do it. So as long as the league allows him to do it, he's going to keep on doing it. I think it's a bad look for the league. It turns me off. I have trouble watching Mavericks games because of Luka. I don't watch Mavericks games because of
but
Luka. I actually don't watch Maverick games because of Luka. In other words, whereas he draws a lot of people in to watch because he's such a marvelous player, it turns me off. I don't watch it because I'm tired of watching him complain all the time. It ruins the enjoyment. Shouldn't say ruins. It tarnishes. Well, it does ruin the enjoyment for me. I don't like it.
yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
Grant, it,
Okay,
oh,
go right now, go.
yeah, if we're doing delay of games for knocking the ball to the side or not giving it to the referee, why is there not a delay of game? Because there's no there's no consistency when it
Yeah,
comes to sometimes the refs will listen and delay the game, sometimes
terrible.
they don't, and they give the ball to the other team and they go. It's a problem. It really is.
It's awful.
Did you notice one? I mean, it's not a new thing, but they are starting from. I saw it from this season. They are starting to make some something like it's very funny about the rule when the ball goes out, the normal clock still goes on, but the shot clock is only stopped. So you can mess around with the ball. You can lose 10, 20 seconds, and
Yeah,
you can put the you can
yeah.
put the ball
It
on the
doesn't.
floor,
The shot
and
clock.
they
Yeah, I
start to
understand.
yeah they
Yeah,
start to make
yeah.
obstacles. So
Yep,
the,
yep. The
I mean,
shot
it's
clock doesn't
amazing.
start until you touch the ball, unless it's the final 2 minutes. Then the game clock doesn't start either. I
I
understand what you
really
mean.
I really believe they're gonna start make some tactics about that. Maybe in
Maybe.
few years we're gonna see everything about that. So I think they should change that rule. They should stop the clock every time ball goes out. That's my opinion. And
Well, it should be a
okay,
hell of a series. I mean, what he's a hell of a player, regardless of whether he complains too much or not. I mean,
Yep.
he's an unbelievable talent. Anthony Edwards has got to start the game better from Minnesota. He can't start off that slowly, and now it forces. I understand what happened. I understand what happened in the previous series where Denver lost 2 games and was able to get it to 7. Lost 2 games at home. I don't think Minnesota can lose game 2 and win this series. I really don't.
well,
Foggy.
me too. But okay, who was the previous caller? He said maybe even if Dallas
Jay,
win the second one, yeah, Jay. Even if Dallas wins second one, Timberwolves are capable to win maybe on the road
yeah,
two
but the
games.
chances of them beating Dallas 4 out of 5 games
Yeah.
is not likely.
Okay, it's not likely, but I don't know. They will probably make some adjustments. They will learn from this game a lot, I think, because maybe some of the players from the Timberwolves are like, we're gonna do it easy, but definitely it's not. Definitely it's not. I don't know. Luka was good. Kyrie was aggressive as always. I mean, uh, I compare those two guys. I mean, Ant-Man and Kyrie, because it's the same position. Okay, Edwards is really really great, but Kyrie, uh, he sometimes it looks like he's older, but sometimes more explosive when finish the action. I mean, down the rim, sometimes he's very explosive. So he gathers more players from the defense to circle him. So 1, 2, 3 passes goes to the shots. But I don't know. Maybe they will try to close him more than the previous game. I don't know.
Well, Bucky, I think you're seeing a situation where Dallas is not asking Kyrie to do too much. And many times in his career, he's been asked to do everything, and that's freed him up to really focus on some of his strengths and create. And around the rim, again, a wizard. Some of those shots he makes, incredible.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, there is no tactics you can guard Luka. I mean, double it or leave it like that, or uh, going tight or going on the distance. I mean, whatever you do, I mean, it's wrong or good. I mean, there is absolutely, for the guy, there is no defense. I mean, he knows how to pass the ball. He do the same things like Jokic do. I mean,
Yeah.
he's very high IQ player. He's not that selfish. I mean, okay, he can take some shots, but whenever he see the chance to put some pass or left or right, he's gonna do it. So it's very
Yep.
dangerous from all the weapons.
By the way, we should congratulate Domantas Sabonis for making
Amen.
third All NBA team.
Yeah, 13.
Um, and it's also, when you look at him being third All NBA team, which means that, you know, he's considered one of the top 15 players in the league. The fact that he did not make the All-Star team is even a greater travesty when you have a guy that didn't make the All-Star team but is third All NBA team. So, you know, that's big time. Congratulations to him for that honor, because that's a big time honor, and I'm happy for him. He deserves it.
He deserves
Well
it.
said.
Maybe more, but okay.
Yep,
You know
maybe
what?
more.
The
But-
fact that he was snubbed, like Grant said, the entire season, he gets that honor. It makes it worth it to me. They made it right there. That is a big honor.
Yeah.
Maybe if you take all, I don't know how many. I mean, one squad have 15 guys. Okay, 450 guys in the league. I don't know if you can count one or two players who are trying more than him on the court.
You had Halliburton, Booker, Curry, and LeBron on the third team with Sabonis.
Decent company, guys. It's all right.
Yeah,
I believe that's what it was. Let me look again. Halliburton
I got
on
you.
the third team are Sabonis, Devin Booker, Steph Curry,
LeBron.
and LeBron James. Yeah.
Mhm.
well, experienced team.
Yep. By the
Okay.
way, LeBron received one first team vote. Kind of odd, but whatever. So congratulations to Domantas Sabonis for that honor. And that's a big time honor. Make no mistake about it.
May I ask something off topic, Grant?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you are 30 years old and I am 30
Uh-huh.
years old. Okay.
Okay.
So you have your team, I have my team for the team sports.
Yep.
What sports would you pick to confront me or somebody else?
To what word did you use? What sport would I choose to do what?
To confront to play against me or somebody else. So between basketball, hockey, you mentioned hockey, uh, American football. I mean,
I don't understand your question. Though. What do you mean? What sport
Okay,
So
would I
if you
choose
so
against
if
you?
each of you were 30 years old
of course,
and
yeah.
you had to pick one sport to play Baki in, what
Yeah,
sport would you choose,
absolutely.
Grant?
Yeah, it would.
I
Would it be tennis? Would it be basketball with your team against my team?
don't know.
Would it be
I don't know
hockey?
what type of athlete. I couldn't answer that question without seeing, you know, how tall are you? What's your size? What's your athletic ability? I
Scouting
couldn't.
report, I love it.
Okay, but let's forget about size and say, okay, I'm not that
I would
tall.
probably
But
you
what would-
being Serbian, I would choose American football. Clearly, I would think that your knowledge or your growing up would be limited compared to mine. Just like I would never want to take you on in your football, soccer, because I didn't grow up with it and I would be completely out of place. So I would choose football, American football.
Okay, but you're looking at winning it, but I'm looking like which sport would you like to play?
I like playing football. I played football in high school. I played lacrosse in college, but It wouldn't be basketball. It would not be. I don't know the fact that you were a tennis umpire. I would assume you played tennis and are pretty good. I was a pretty good tennis player too. I don't know. I don't know. You know, if I didn't like you so much, I would say that's a stupid question. But I like you, so I'm not going to.
It was bordering on it. It was coming close.
Okay, it is a stupid question, so we're gonna put it in that bag. Stupid question bag. No, that question was only because the Roland Garros is about to start. So.
I understand. And just so you know, in all my years of being on radio, all kinds of formats, that's a question that's never, ever been asked of me before. So I give you a score of a 100 for asking a unique question, a question that I've never been asked before.
Holy moly, Jimbaboli.
Time to wake up.
Have a good day, Baki.
Thank you, guys. Thank you a lot.
Well, Baki. Why couldn't it just be cornhole? How about a friendly game of cornhole and just call it a day? Come on. Baki, man. He thinks of these things, Grant. He is so laser focused. It's like, what can I ask Grant about sports?
He does it, man. How about Bennett's? Their happy hour, their sips and taste from 2 to 6. They have a lot of their wines at $14 and under, many available for $6. They've got great share plates, and food is tremendous. That's every day from 2 to 6. It's at Bennett's Sips and Taste. Don't forget about their weekend brunch. So many other things. You know, if you go to bennettsrestaurants.com, you can check out everything they have going on and make a reservation. Don't forget 3 locations, Sacramento, Roseville, and the Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. That's Bennett's West Side Grill is that 3rd location in Rockland. They're all great. You're going to love it. Prime seafood and steak at Bennett's.
We need our first channel Triple Crown winner. Who's going to be the first person from the chat that goes to all 3 Bennett's? Grant and I are Triple Crown winners.
Yep.
We need somebody to step up. Let us know. Andrew, welcome in tonight to the Scrum.
Hey, guys. First off, I just need to go hit up the new Bennett's, and then I'll get the Triple Crown. I mean, I might even hit it up tomorrow, so we'll see.
There you go.
Love it.
I live right by the Fair Oaks Boulevard one. So
okay. Good.
Yeah. Just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on just what goes into the mind of the GM when drafting players, because you know, as a Kings fan, we're always going to be looking at the Luka and Marvin Bagley. You can call it a disaster, you can call it whatever you want, but I was a fan who loved Bagley looking at the draft. And when a GM is evaluating a guy out of college like Bagley, like looking into their versatility, quickness, like all these analytics that are way over my head as just a regular guy. And then to just kind of like, you know, scrap a GM for a bad pick. I mean, it's almost like it's just there's so much almost luck that goes into it. And I guess.
Well, first of all, it's not just one individual. You have an entire scouting department, and in this case, you have European scouts that were evaluating Luka. You have it depends on whether you have a meddling owner. The owner will put their input in. There's a lot of factors. It's different for every team. So it's not just one individual. It's several individuals. Now, ultimately, it comes down to the one person that makes the final decision, unless you have a meddling owner. And then very often the owner will make the decision. But generally speaking, it's many people together that formulate the opinion. If you have a difference of an opinion, then it comes down to the general manager. But a lot of times the decision is uniform on that. I'll tell you one of the biggest myths, one of the biggest absurdities to come out of that draft was that Dave Yeager wanted to draft Luka. That couldn't be further from the truth. Dave wasn't even in Sacramento for any of the workouts other than Marvin Bagley's. He actually came in for Marvin Bagley's workout. He wasn't there to evaluate any of the players. He was back home. Okay. He was going through a very difficult time in his personal life, and he was back in South Dakota with his family. He wasn't even in Sacramento. He wasn't at any of the workouts. He wasn't involved. Okay. So, you know, the fact that I always hear Dave Yeager really wanted Luka is a bunch of crap. He was completely removed from that draft. And the day that Marvin Bagley came in to work out, I talked with the guy that was guarding him. Okay, Bob Thornton, who is a very dear friend of mine, who was a former NBA player, former NBA longtime big man assistant coach. Love him, respect his opinion. On Marvin Bagley's workout, okay, in Sacramento, Bob was raving about him, okay, that he was talking about, oh my God, because Bob did that for a living. He guarded a lot of the workout, a lot of the bigs that came in. Bob would guard them. They didn't get a player to come in. They got the coach did it, a big man. And Bob was guarding him during the workout and Bob was so high on this guy. And so you understand there's a lot of variables that go into it. And here's the other deal. Regardless of whether you think Marvin Bagley was a bust or not, which he was, if the Kings had not taken Marvin Bagley, okay, Bagley would have not fallen below 3. Okay, he would have. There's Marvin Bagley coming out of the draft was a consensus top 3 pick on everyone's board. You know, and I think that sometimes that's lost. He was a consensus top pick on everyone's board in that draft.
So that's kind of what I was kind of getting at is like, you know, people want to actually tarnish Vlade's almost his legendariness in Sacramento because of a botched GM move. And really, Marvin Bagley, when you look at all the analytics, he was just a bust personally because of how he played actually in game. Really,
there were a lot of players that have been gone in the top 5 during Vladdy's tenure as GM that were bust. Many of them.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Phoenix did the pick before De'Aaron Fox. Now think about this. The Phoenix Suns had the 4th pick in the draft, and they took Josh Jackson, who ended up being as big of a bust as Marvin Bagley. They could have had De'Aaron Fox. They didn't take Fox. They took Jackson at number 4, who ended up being a huge bust. That same draft, okay? Look at who went number 1 in that draft. Markelle Fultz, okay? A big trade. Think about this for a minute. Think about the deal that Philadelphia made with Boston to draft Markelle Fultz, which allowed Boston to get Jason Tatum and another first-round pick, which is the reason why the Boston Celtics are in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals now is because of that trade. Markelle Fultz, who the Sixers gave up a lot for, bust. So every year, you know, whether you talk about Hashim Thabit with Memphis, number 2 overall, or we can go back, you know, Darko Milicic, and we can go on and on at number 2. There are many teams that continue to get it wrong. NFL draft. Look at Sam Darnold. Look at Zach Wilson of the Jets, taken 2nd and 3rd respectively in a period of 3 years. They're not even with the team anymore. If you're a Raiders fan, Jamarcus Russell. I mean, you can go on and on and on. Teams have everything at their disposal. They have video. They have advanced scouting. They have the smart, allegedly the smartest minds in the game, and they still get it wrong. You ask me, how does it happen? I don't know.
Okay, but Grant, let's draw a line here really quick because you have teams like San Antonio. You have teams like Miami. There's a process there. They don't draft guys that don't fit their system. They don't draft guys that aren't part of what they feel like could be that culture. Right. So where's that line between franchises like that and franchises like the Kings?
The line is that Miami's got Pat Riley and the Kings don't.
Okay. What I was also going to say is, you're talking about meddling owners. I don't think there's a bigger meddling owner than Mark Cuban in Dallas. Mark Cuban wants to act like he's some genius for drafting Luka, when really, I mean,
well, first of all, you're wrong there. He's not a meddling owner when it comes to talent. Okay. And so he might be a meddling owner, or he might appear to be that way. But when it comes to basketball personnel, he leaves it completely up to his basketball staff and his general manager.
Okay. All right. I mean, it feels like Sacramento, we have a meddling owner. Dallas has a meddling owner. But if you're
Dallas's meddling owner is nothing like the Kings meddling owner for a couple of reasons. First of all, Mark Cuban understands what he's doing and understands basketball and understands how to work with people. You can't compare the two owners in any way, shape, or form. It's not even remotely close.
Yeah. I mean,
Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I'm trusting you, and I
Yeah.
know.
Not even close.
And usually Mark Cuban has A-list celebrities next to him, not B-list here in Sacramento.
And not only that, Mark Cuban doesn't care if he's got an A-list celebrity next to him. It doesn't matter to him. It's not how he runs his life.
Thanks,
Hey,
guys.
yeah, appreciate it, Andrew. Good job,
Andrew,
buddy.
good call. Appreciate you. Thank you. Listen, you can't compare the two.
No.
But you asked a very good question. A lot has to do with the hierarchy of an organization, whether it's football, whether it's basketball. Do you allow one individual to run your basketball department? Okay. And for instance, the owner of the San Antonio Spurs never, ever interfered with R.C. Buford and Greg Popovich. He always took a back seat, and everyone knew he took a back seat. And that's how he owned his team. And so he allowed the people that he hired to make decisions. And by the way, they're still there making the same decisions.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have the owner there, meddle and interfere. And same thing in Miami. Pat Riley runs the entire franchise, and Mickey Arison allows Pat Riley to run the franchise and doesn't interfere with Pat Riley running the franchise. There's something to be said for that.
Makes difference. They like a Jaime Jaquez, right? We looked at him last year. Hey, it could be a good pick, perfect for the Heat. I know he had.
It's like Kevin Nagel, who has been extremely successful with the Sacramento Republic. Okay,
yeah,
Kevin,
great point.
And Kevin's a friend of mine, so I'm being transparent when I say this. And I talk to Kevin fairly often, but I think the point needs to be made. Kevin's philosophy as an owner is it's my job to give the people that I hire the necessities to go out and win. That's my job as an owner. My job as an owner is to hire an individual that I think is the best possible person for my coach and the general manager. And then as an owner, I put expectations on them based on what I give them. It'd be like the equivalent of having a chef and I'm buying them top of the line groceries. Well, if they keep on cooking crappy meals, I'm going to hire a different chef. Because I've been supplying them with the best ingredients and the best produce and the best meat or whatever. It's the same thing with Kevin. Kevin's trying to hire the best. He's going to give them what they need to be successful. And then if they're not, he'll replace them. But he's not in the meetings telling them, what they should do, who should they draft, because Kevin's not a soccer expert. He's learned a lot, but that's not what he does. And that's why his ownership technique has been so successful. I mean, look at how good the Republic are every year. There's a reason for that.
Amen. They just beat the San Jose Earthquakes last night here in Sacramento.
That's right. By the way, I didn't hear the outcome today with their next game. I heard that Cal Expo, due to preparations for the fair, was not going to allow them to play a home match. Do you know what the outcome of that was? I forgot to look.
They reversed it.
Good.
The last I heard, it was reversed. Cal Expo came around.
Good. Well, they have to, because Cal Expo they would have boycotted Cal Expo. It would have been horrible publicity for them. It would have been stupid. Did the Cup give Sacramento a home date? Do you know? For that,
I do not know.
Match?
Yeah, I am not sure.
But anyway, the reason why I'm using Kevin Nagel as an example is not because he's a friend of mine, but because a lot of the people that follow us are from the Sacramento area, and they can relate to what the Sacramento Republic have done in terms of putting a successful product on the pitch. So that the franchises that have that hierarchy, that have that philosophy, are successful. And Kevin also has bought a team over in England.
Yep. And
he's had full ownership for one season, and they were relegated this season. But I'm telling the fan, and I don't know anything about English. So I couldn't even name one team in that league. So I'm not, but what I'm saying is, if those fans allow Kevin a reasonable amount of time, okay, to fix it, they will have success. Because I know Kevin's management style. I understand what his philosophy is. And his philosophy, to me, is perfect for being an owner, because he'll go out and get the best possible people at each position and then leave it on them to either be successful or not.
It's a pretty damn good philosophy and a good way to run a business, whether it's sports or otherwise. Even with the Republic, they've set up, they're building within. They've got younger
Yes.
talent they're bringing up, and they're not even MLS yet. So it's very, very good stuff. I love seeing it.
Yep.
So
Well,
I think
again, I think it's, you asked a very good question, and I answered it in a very roundabout way. But your question of what makes franchises successful compared to other franchises is all of that. I mean, look at it. Let's look at the Jets for a minute. In a span of 3 years, they took 2 quarterbacks at 3 and 2 respectively, and both aren't with their franchises anymore. I mean, think about that.
How much of that has to do with the big market? A little bit more pressure for the success right now. We've got to hit now.
Yes and no, but again, those quarterbacks, Wilson and Darnold, would have all been gone in the top 4 picks.
Yeah.
So they just drafted the wrong guy.
Yeah.
But the team right behind them would have drafted him as well had they not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a very.
I mean,
good point.
look at how much the Bears gave up to get Justin Fields. He's not even with the team anymore.
Not anymore. Nope. But
look at the 49ers. How much? You're a Seahawks fan. You follow the NFL as closely as I do.
Yes.
That's one of the worst trades in 49ers history. But what happened? They got lucky because in the same draft, they took a quarterback with the last pick who ended up being one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Brock Purdy. You explain something to me, Ryan. We talk about all the mistakes that are made at the top of the draft. How is it that 32 NFL teams with 32 NFL scouting departments, 32 general managers, tape, everything else, they all got Brock Purdy wrong? Even the 49ers got him wrong 6 different times because they didn't take him until the last pick in the draft. Think about that for a minute. Every team in the NFL, including the 49ers, got Brock Purdy wrong.
It's incredible. And some don't even cast the net far enough to see a Brock Purdy. They've got it set. They've got their system, but it happens every year. There are guys that surprise you in those latter rounds. Hell, Giannis in the NBA.
Well, Nikola Jokic.
Yes.
Exactly but again, I'm going to go back to the 49ers. They got lucky. They made a mistake on Purdy. If they knew Purdy was going to be so good, they would have taken him much higher in the draft. But they got lucky when they had the last pick of the draft and they decided to take him. So, it's funny how things work out. It's very interesting how things work out.
Yep. It's knowledge, skill, and luck. Now you got to rate which order they go in at some point.
Vladdy, the year before Vladdy got control, we were somewhere, and I don't even know where it was, but he was not with the Kings.
Yeah.
And he told me about this kid in Serbia. He goes, I'm telling you right now, this guy is going to be great. And he was talking about Nikola Jokic.
Oh boy.
And he was like, and then he got the team the following year and he goes, man, Nikola Jokic would have been a Sacramento King. And I was like, really? And back then I'm like, this is what I was saying inside of us. I'm like, big deal. He's not that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
he wasn't that good when he first got here. But Vladdy said, okay, then we used to talk. I'm like, dude, what's so good about Nikola Jokic? And we'd be at dinner. He goes, just wait.
Just wait.
Just wait. I'm like, okay, just wait. And then the second year, I'm like, just wait. He would always say to me 2 words, just wait.
or he'd ask you, that's not a vegetable, right?
Yeah.
Just plated
exactly
dinner.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Hey, I want to get your thoughts on this because you know some of these guys and you have been around it. It's a question about inside the NBA, Grant, and possibly the effect if it is lost. Here we go. See if I can pull it up. Comments are moving so fast. Basically, Grant, thoughts on inside the NBA possibly being no more.
Well, Ernie Johnson will not go to the NBC or what have you. Shaq said he wouldn't go. Charles would go. And so that show, which has to me been the best show running on TV, would not be together anymore. And I doubt Kenny Smith would go. So it would truly be the end of an era.
Special era. They have done it right, and they have changed the game. They get a lot of people to stay up very late to watch their program. I'm right here.
I don't know if there's ever been a program like that in the history of television.
No, where it's, well, you tell me. What was the show we were talking about? It used to be the NFL on CBS, and there was the documentary that came out about it.
Yeah, it was Brent Musburger, Jimmy the Greek, Irv Cross, and Phyllis George. They were great. It was iconic. and you just did a great job. That was an iconic, legendary show. And so it was the first of its kind. So yeah, that's a good job by your part. I would probably say, in terms of iconic, legendary shows, I would probably put that right up there with them. That's a good job on your part.
Yeah, well, the only reason I remember it, Jimmy the Greek giving Brent Musburger a little left and a right. You know, give me my camera time, buddy.
Everyone watched that show. Everyone. It was groundbreaking. And they were the first ones to have gambling on their show, and they were the first ones to have a woman on their show in the Phyllis George.
There you go.
I mean, it was just legendary, a legendary show.
I could do without Draymond on Inside.
I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me, and I think it's an absolute travesty. Hey, before we adjourn the show, I want to tell you about Sunrise Landing and what they have going on at Calusa. CalusaSunrise.com will get you everything you need. The newest residential community in Calusa, adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Great access to I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. They have no Mellorews, no homeowners. Just go to CalusaSunrise.com. That's CalusaSunrise.com and check out Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development. It is awesome. And again, it is Sunrise Landing in Calusa. I think it's a travesty that Draymond Green, with his track record, but that's where we're going in today's society. You know, it's where we're heading.
Well, on the flip side, Vince Carter, he's been on a little bit this postseason. I know you helped Vince out get into the business. So good for him. Good to see Vince getting that opportunity.
You have a good rest of the evening, my friend. It was a good hour. Appreciate you.
Yes, very fun. Thank you all, and thank you, Napes.
All right. And to everyone else, thank you for your support. We greatly appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on If You Don't Like That. Don't forget Ryno's show at 2:00 tomorrow. Again, right here on If You Don't